Welcome to the Fantasy Football Prophet Podcast, hosted by Craig Phillips and Jeff Torrey. Visit us at fantasyfootballprophet.com.
Welcome everyone to the Fantasy Football Prophet Podcast. I'm Craig Phillips, joined as always by Jeff Torrey, and we're here to talk about Week 14 around the NFL. And I did make it back. I'm here. I'm here. Everybody was worried about me. I got a few messages on Instagram from people that said they've been there. So it was rough couple of days there. I had nothing to play for today, so it was interesting watching football. So it was actually kind of enjoyable in a weird way. I'll say that. It was a relaxing day. I would say that. Watch the Lions.
Is that what is going on with the background right here?
Yeah.
Your state of mind.
Yeah.
You're already on vacation.
I'm on vacation. This is simple. This is easy now. I watched the Lions lose because the refs kind of screwed them. Maybe not really, but they lost. It was still a good time. Good. No Michigan game this weekend. It was awesome. I'm so happy it got canceled. I did not want to see them play Ohio State, so I'm very excited about that game getting canceled. It's a good time. Just a good time. Enjoyable weekend of football. Not much to worry about, except my 21 leagues I'm in the playoffs in. So I got that number wrong the other day. I actually made the playoffs in 21 leagues. That also brings up a question of, I'm in way too many leagues. So, 21, Jeff. Playoff appearances this year. So
Yeah, I was a few buys, so I didn't have to worry about all of them. But the important ones, won a couple big ones today, so I'm excited. We'll find out what happens next weekend, though. That's really what it comes down to. Kind of trophy or bust. But, for all of our relegation leagues, too.
It's going well. Those are always good time. We have 25 relegation leagues. Playoffs started this week. We made the playoffs in 15 of those 25, which was kind of cool. So we'll see what happens after this week. Next week, we're three-week playoffs. So this is the opening round. We'll have the semis next week and then go to the championship. So check that out. I'm going to put some updates on Instagram with those. I did last week. I'll update the playoffs as we go. So go check that out at Instagram.com/fantasyfootballprophet. See how those relegation leagues are going and who's going to maybe pull off that Champions League championship. So Champions League, we were in the playoffs in the Champions League, but I don't think it went our way today. So, we'll recover. But hey, if you guys go check that out on Instagram, and if you're not in it and you want to be in it, make sure to subscribe to us there. Follow us on Instagram and just keep watching this spring, early summer when we get the new leagues all ready to go. Because there always is some dropouts. We have 25 leagues of 12 teams per league. We have quite a few people. Not every single person returns every year. So look out for that, and you'll hopefully get you a spot in that league. So we're going to talk week 7. We're going to talk week 7. 7 games today in week 14. I'm happy it's not week 7. I don't need that pressure anymore. So here we go. We got 7 games. We'll start us off. Texans, Bears. Bears beat up on them today here, 36-7. Mitch Trubisky has got himself a job, it looks like, again, which, maybe I think they pulled the trigger on him too early in the beginning of the season, to be honest. They were 3-0 when they benched him. So
he's still not. I don't think he's anything special.
No, but
it's good to see.
This was a solid outing.
This is the problem, though. I was actually in Chicago, so I had to, but I watched this whole game, and it's one of those things where obviously it all was dictated because they signed Foles and they weren't really sure about Trubisky. And so at some point you had to make that move, right? One way or another. So when Trubisky wasn't playing up to the standards, they had to pull him, and then Foles gets hurt and he wasn't playing, all that perfect either. Goes back to him. He looked good today. But I still, it was nothing phenomenal. The Texans were always playing from behind immediately because Montgomery had that really long rush up the gut. But it was definitely better than I've seen him play before. It was much more kind of reserved. He was doing what was asked of him, and he made the play. So I can't take anything away from him. But because of that, they got a huge win against a struggling Texans team. But all the people that you want to do well, they're relying on him to do well. And one of them would be Montgomery. These numbers are a little misleading when we talk about 11 carries for 113 yards and a touchdown, because the very first carry he had was 80 yards for a touchdown. So you can see that they kind of went away from him a little bit. Allen Robinson, the other one, 13 targets, which I love to see, and 9 catches, 123 yards, and 1 touchdown. Really, those are the two guys. And David Montgomery, the number 2 wide receiver behind Robinson, which is funny, 3 for 42. So it does show which way they're leaning. And when you have Mac on the defense, you'll be okay. He was a beast today. I know we don't talk about defense a whole lot on the show, but he's a freak. And it's funny too watching it because everyone was talking about how he had disappeared for a week week prior, and he hasn't been the same. And then he comes out and he has a tip pass, a forced fumble that he recovers himself, a sack. It was just ridiculous. You're just like, okay, maybe you should never talk about one of the best defensive players like that ever again.
Right. And Bears, just good win there. Montgomery, an 80-yard run boosted it, but still 155 total yards and a touchdown. Just solid day for using him.
Yeah, and it wasn't the first one, right? He's been very solid the last 3-4 weeks at least. So he's definitely carved out a niche when you thought maybe it could have went the other way.
And for the Texans, just a struggle today. Watson threw for 219 and a touchdown. That one touchdown went to Kiki QT, but he only was 3 for 24. Was it Chad Hansen led him with 7 for 456. Buddy Howell led them with the running game, 11 for 42. I did not know who that guy was until I just saw the box score, to be honest with you. I watched some of that game early, and then I think I didn't watch anything after halftime. I don't know when Buddy Howell came in there and started playing, but
Duke Johnson went down with an injury.
Was that? I'm like, I was not paying attention to that part. I turned that game. I stopped watching that thing at halftime. Duke Johnson, though, even before that, then 8 for 26. He's just not the guy. He had 2 for 53 to the air. He's just never been able to really get it going like we thought maybe he could in his career. It's just never quite happened. Which, don't put him in your lineups. I'd say. How about next one?
Yeah,
you got a little bit.
Very depleted. Watson.
Just.
He's a very good quarterback.
He's no Cooks though.
He's got nothing, man. With Fuller suspended and he's got he had nothing to go to.
He must hate Bill O'Brien.
You would have to. You get rid of Hopkins for
David Johnson.
Yeah, that worked out.
We knew he was washed. But all right, how about Cowboys-Bengals? Cowboys win 30-7. Bengals aren't even trying at this point, so it doesn't really. You're just Bengals are just bad. They have nobody there. Dalton threw 2 touchdowns, only 185 yards, but Zeke is just. I don't like Zeke. I don't think he's a good player.
How quickly the mighty have fallen.
Maybe if he would have scored from a goal line on 3 chances in the last week, maybe. But okay, hey, that's behind us. Let's just. All right, I'm second. Not talking about that. Okay, I'm good. Zeke had 59 total yards in this one off 13 touches. Just nothing, or 14 touches. Nothing going for Zeke. It's been a bad year. The receiving group, Cooper was 4 for 51, got a touchdown. Nothing much else. So the Zeke thing, it just becomes interesting for next year, where this is going to be a talk, before when we do our kind of wrap up for this year and talk a little bit into next year is, what do you do about Zeke next year in drafts? It's hard to say. Is he not the same player? Is he starting to hit some kind of wall? Or is this just not having Dak Prescott, not having that, is it Mike McCarthy? What is this? And I don't know Zeke is going to be a top 10 running back in our ranks for next year, right? It's going to be hard not to have him as a top 10 back, but he's not top 3 like he was anymore, obviously. He's gone down the list a bit. So, Zeke's going to be a guy you're getting at the back end of the first round next year, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. There's no doubt that this year is going to hurt his standing. And it's more about being elite rather than anything else, right? Because he's probably more than likely he's going to finish in the top 10 of running backs this year as far as fantasy goes.
Well, that's with an injured McCaffrey, an injured Barkley.
Yes, very true.
An injured Mixon. There's a lot of guys out there.
But still, he's he's 8th right before this week hit.
Yeah.
So has he completely fallen off? No, but is he the price tag that you paid for him? No. And also we don't really know, even when Dak was playing, right? He definitely was a lot better, but we don't know what Dak is going to look like. We also don't know if the way they were throwing it between the 3 wide receivers they had, if that is going to continue, because I feel like Zeke should still be able to put up better numbers than he is right now.
I think so too. Yeah.
So I don't really know, and I don't think that there's any way that you're going to put a huge draft, you're not going to draft him in the top. I don't know. I mean, to this point, when I really look at it, I do think that you'd have to get him at the end of the first, and I'm not even sure if I'd want him there, to be quite honest. Like, at my first round pick, I definitely wanted to hit. And here's the question too: is like, okay, Barkley was hurt the entire year. If you hear that he is healthy, does he automatically go above Zeke?
I would. Yeah, I mean, honestly, well, with an ACL, it sucks. ACL's not a good injury to come back from. But I still think I'd take Barkley over him.
Right, McCaffrey was hurt all year. Would you still go McCaffrey?
Oh yeah, I'd go McCaffrey.
Yeah. So Delvin Cook is going to be above him. Alvin Kamara is going to be above him.
Derrick Henry is going to be. I mean, who's going to be number one? Is Derrick Henry going to be number one next year? Who's number one? It's going to be like
if McCaffrey is healthy, I think he holds on to number one. But I think Derrick Henry will be number two.
Right, Delvin's right there too.
He is. I do wonder if we're completely going away from the games, but I do wonder if Delvin Cook will finally get out from underneath the shadow of an injury-concerned player.
Yeah.
Because this will be a couple years in a row that he's played the majority of the year. He's put up monster numbers, especially in the last two. Would you consider him a health risk? And if so, or if not, where does he stack up with those other guys? Is he number 3 for you?
At least. Yeah, honestly.
Maybe, do you like him? Do you like him more than McCaffrey because of the injury?
I mean, I don't know if McCaffrey's injury is something I'm really worried about for it's not what Barkley. It's not ACL,
no,
so it's not really that much of a concern. I mean, Cook's top 3 at worst. I'll say that.
Yeah.
I mean, I think maybe Barkley becomes a value next year. Actually,
he probably will. And you know what's very interesting? We're just talking about this. Zeke actually probably falls out of the top round, like first round. And now that I'm really thinking about it, because in my mind, we just named off 5 running backs that are going to go ahead of him. And then we haven't talked about Devontae Adams, who has been lights out. So you think that he's probably a first round candidate.
Tyreek Hill's going to be too.
Tyreek Hill. And then not only that, but what about Aaron Jones? What happens to him? Is he above Zeke now? Because he's outplayed him. What about Josh Jacobs?
Nah, not Jacobs. Probably not Jacobs.
Right? You still take the upside with Zeke. But I'm saying the crazy part is Zeke and Josh Jacobs are closer. They're closer to one another than Zeke and name any of the top 5.
Oh, yeah. Anybody up there.
I don't think he might be out of the top tier running back. And it's only because of this year. He could come back very strong. Dak comes back. All of a sudden he can get a 20-point game again. But I think that is going to be the interesting one. Do you want to pull the trigger and grab him late and hope? That'll be the big question.
We're going to have to do a little before we go on a little hiatus after the season. We're going to have to do a little ranking, I think, like our top 15, 20 players or something like that.
Without a doubt. Well, okay, here's another one. Nick Chubb.
Yeah, Nick Chubb's going to be up there too, for sure.
I mean, Zeke is very close to being at the tail end of 10 running backs.
It'd be interesting to actually rank them, put them out there. Well, we'll have to do that in a couple weeks from now. That's for sure. That'll be interesting.
It'll be a fun one.
All right. How about this game? Oh, Bengals. We just skipped over them. I don't really care about them, honestly. There's just nothing there.
No.
Travion Williams led them in rushing today after Gio Bernard. Hopefully he didn't play Gio Bernard. He fumbled early and just was benched. AJ Green did catch a touchdown. Not much going on there.
I do have to say that was hilarious to see. I don't know I assume he was benched because he fumbled it.
Yeah, I believe so. But
they showed the numbers of how many times he's carried and fumbled, and he hasn't fumbled in years.
I know. It's like you bench him.
But they bench him.
Yeah, that's weird. All right. How about Chiefs Dolphins? Chiefs win 33-27. But Patrick Mahomes, first the numbers 24 for 34, 393 doesn't seem bad. 2 touchdowns, okay, but 3 picks. A guy who came into this game with only 2 picks. He really let down some fantasy owners today with his. He got in the low 20s of points, but that's not what you wanted.
He was
Patrick
fine,
Mahomes.
but no,
just not what
especially
you wanted.
against. And Miami is a good team. I still forget that, even myself. As much as I talk about their defense, and you can definitely grab players off the team. Yep. I still don't think of them as very good. But your brother, in one of our leagues or whatever, he was playing Mahomes, and it looks like he's not going to make the finals, and not just because of Mahomes.
Oh, but to take away those 3 picks and get an extra touchdown, he got 12 more points, and you're looking.
He'd be up right now. It'd be a different game. Yeah,
different game for sure. Tyreek Hill ran himself in a touchdown for 32 yards, caught 3 for 79 for a touchdown. It's another big game for him. Travis Kelce just is ridiculous. 8 for 136, a touchdown. I mean, that guy's going to be borderline first rounder next year the way he's been playing.
He is right now. He's the biggest upset player. Like, he is the biggest advantage you can have on a team.
Yeah, for sure.
And more so on that, which this game was a lot of fun to watch for me, because in Scott Fish Bowl, they have, kind of rules are all over the place. Tight ends are definitely at a premium. So we went high end with our, tight ends. So we had Kelce, and not only that, but we have Gesicki as well. Both of them do well, as Gesicki catches 2 touchdowns, 5 for 65 and 2 touchdowns. Travis Kelce had 8 for 136 and a touchdown. So we made out like bandits there. And if you're playing Gesicki as a streamer, or, you didn't have a strong tight end, oh man, were you elated at this guy continuing to get better and better, and with Tua in there, which bodes very well for what could happen for his price tag next year, because tight end is very, very thin. Up and coming guys coming up together. I don't know. I like where they're at, and it does feel like this is exactly what Gesicki did last year.
He came on at the end.
Yeah, at the end. But I do think this is a very clear path of what should happen next year for these two.
Yep. The only thing, he left that game with an injury there, with a shoulder injury, which see what that is. But I mean, for next year, I think the guy's on a path he's on the right path. Become a really good tight end here. All right, up next, Cardinals Giants. Cardinals win 26-7. Relatively easy win for them. Murray only gets 1 touchdown through the air, none on the ground today. So he's kind of tailed off a little bit compared to his big start to the season he had. But so it was okay. You're not really terribly excited about his performance today. Drake, 23 carries, 80 yards, but a touchdown. And Hopkins 9 for 136. You wish you would have got a touchdown there. Didn't happen, but this was not much happening in this game, to be honest. Nothing really from the Giants side. Well, Gallman, we talked him up a little bit, and then he goes 12 for 57 only. But it's just they were down. They didn't get a chance to run it much. His yards per carry were fine. He looked fine. Just not much happening there for the Giants. So Cardinals, though, they're just not as explosive as they were, but we'll see. Next up, Tampa, Minnesota. Tampa wins 26-14 here. Brady throws himself 2 touchdowns, only 196 yards, but hey, the 2 touchdowns, one goes to Scotty Miller, the other goes to Gronk, who only had 1 catch for 2 yards. That's a touchdown. Evans 3 for 56, Brown 5 for 49, Godwin 2 for 25. Spread the ball around. It's not only 15 receptions out there, completion, so it's not going to be a big day for him. Ronald Jones 18 for 80 and a touchdown, so he's been good. For the Vikings, Cousins 3 for 225 and a touchdown, but the receivers really, Thielen and Jefferson let some people down today too. 3 for 39 for Thielen, 4 for 39 for Jefferson. So,
yeah, that one was this game in general. There was a lot of players that were on fantasy teams, right? A lot of wide receivers. None of them came out on top. If you played Gronk as a streamer once again,
you got lucky there.
Yeah,
right?
You're kind of like, okay, cool. Like, I'll take that. But everyone else, I mean, like you said, you named 5 different wide receivers. None of them produced the numbers that they should have.
Oh,
and between them, you think that one would catch a touchdown, and it just didn't happen.
Oh.
Irv Smith, not that it matters this year, but Irv Smith is starting to come around a little bit. He was the lone touchdown on the Vikings.
He's an interesting one with those tight ends, the way they develop. He looks better and better. We'll see what happens next year in year 3, which always could be a breakout year for tight ends.
Only guy left to talk about, Delvin Cook. Yeah, he does it again. 22 carries for 102 yards and a touchdown.
He just continues to be good. He's just, like you said early on, those injury concerns are what dropped him in drafts this year slightly, which, man, I wish I would have got him in a lot more. But it was hard to draft Delvin Cook in the first round. It really just was. You could do it, but you didn't feel great about it, just knowing, is this guy going to get hurt? You got Madison behind him, but no, hey, he's been awesome. How about next up, Broncos Panthers. Broncos win 32-27. I'm pretty sure last week I said Drew Lock just can't do it.
I was about to say, I think Drew Lock heard you, because I love seeing this, and I literally was talking to my buddy as we were watching games, and I was like, wow, Drew Lock went off. And I was like, I'm pretty sure me and Craig just talked about this, and I said I wasn't ready to write him off. And I was like, I'm gonna rub his face in it, and then you do it right away.
I remember I
me.
watched this happen. I'm like, oh, there we go. I literally he hadn't been doing much, but hey, this is what we saw from him at the end of last year a little bit more about this potential. He went 21, 27, 284 touchdowns. KJ Hamler caught two catches, 86 yards, 2 touchdowns. Huge game. And I played KJ Hamler in DraftKings today, so I feel really good.
Okay, I don't even know how to feel about that one.
It was a good play. I had Aaron Rodgers, Devontae Adams, Delvin Cook, and KJ Hamler. It was a good day. Cowboys defense against Bengals. It was a good day. Nice. Got some money.
I do want to say this is against Carolina, but it's good to see, and it does make me feel. I mean, not saying that Drew Lock is the future of quarterbacking or anything like that, but I think that this offense will be very different next year, and you wonder how much better they would look with Sutton as the number one, and then you can just move all these guys down. Because I think what you're seeing right now is Jerry Jeudy is not ready to be the number one wide receiver on a team. I think he's full of potential, but he's still just, he just hasn't been able to get that separation, and Drew Lock and him haven't been able to hook up, which you would absolutely need. But
they could have a good group next year with Sutton, Jeudy, and Tim Patrick there, Noah Fant. It could be a good group. We'll see.
Without doubt, a lot of weapons.
All right, I'm not going to write off Lock yet. I'll give him another chance. So for the Panthers, Bridgewater didn't throw any touchdowns. I never thought Bridgewater was that good, to be honest. He ran one in today. No, didn't throw anything. Mike Davis at 11 for 51. He ran 2 touchdowns and 5 for 42 through the air. So good game for Mike Davis if you used him. Robbie Anderson 8 for 84 and Curtis Samuel 7 for 68. No DJ Moore today. So
Mike Davis is going to be a very interesting one because he had a very good day. He's on a lot of these teams that used him in order to make up a running back spot. If he's not on the same team as McCaffrey, some of those teams obviously aren't even in it, but you do wonder how much that will hurt people if McCaffrey is playing and not Mike Davis for a lot of these, second to last, if not the finals. That is going to be something to really monitor.
And then how about final game we'll do for this episode? Titans beat up on the Jaguars, just as we expected, 31-10. And this is why we told people Derrick Henry is going to roll through these playoffs. And guess what? Derrick Henry's bringing people to fantasy championships again. 26 carries, 215 yards, 2 touchdowns. This is last year all over again. And Derrick Henry, if you have him on your team, he is just bringing you to titles. This is just, the guy's tough to stop.
Yes, he's making a very strong push for MVP if he keeps this up.
At this point, I mean, he has to be. I mean, it's what is even the running? It's him and Delvin Cook. Like, who's in the running there? That's it, right?
I mean, those would be the 2 big ones.
I mean, Henry just if he does this 2 years in a row,
you can make an argument for Devontae Adams.
True, but he missed a couple games, I guess.
Yeah, so. Tyreek Hill, Kelsey, but I think those Henry, 2 would be the big ones.
Yep. A.J. Brown caught 7 balls for 112 yards and a touchdown, so solid game there. And Tannehill threw for 2. Over in Jacksonville side, Glennon got pulled in this one, and they brought back Gardner Minshew, who came back and actually looked good, I guess, for his, relatively good. 18 for 31, 178 touchdown with his limited play. You got to expect he'll be the quarterback next week probably then. And James Robinson, this is probably his worst outing we've seen. And 12 for 67. The yards per carries there. He himself didn't. He looked fine. Again, it's just he got down. He didn't get the opportunity. So that's disappointing, though.
He still got 83 yards. So, not what you want to see. But once again.
And then DJ Chark continues to be kind of non-existent. 2 for 16 in this one. He's not really been good this year. He had one game where he caught 2 touchdowns early on in the year. Then he had a 7 for 146 and a touchdown, I think, week 9. And other than that, he's just not been good. But I don't want to throw it all on DJ Chark and say he's just not a good player, but the quarterback situation hasn't been good. It's hard to judge it. It's hard to judge what he is, which
they're
makes
1-12. Yeah, I mean, that should tell you enough.
It's really hard it's hard to judge him as a player right now. But
and anyone like this, it's the same thing that's happening over in New York, right? The Jets. When you're a terrible team, I have no idea what Mims is really, what he really looks like, what Perriman could do. It's impossible to tell. And you can't use them, you know what I mean? But even if it does change over in the quarterback over the offseason, which both are very likely at this point, we still have no idea what that is going to turn out to be. But they're all going to be things that we monitor because, it's kind of just, is there gold there to mine or not?
Yeah, but it's hard to say. There's the potential though for players like to get those kind of players next year, and they actually are good, and they just were in bad situations. We'll see. But all right, that'll do it for part 1 of the Week 14 recap. We'll be back tomorrow. We'll get you the other 6 games that happened today and go over all those. We'll talk to you guys then.